One of the most useful skills you can acquire when working with any medium, and this medium in particular because the pigments are so specific, one pastel to the next, is color mixing or color matching. And in this case, we have this little bird, and I'm going to be painting it on a piece of pastel mat, and I will be using pan pastels in the background and then putting some soft pastel on top of that and some pencil, or maybe even just the pan pastel in the background and then pencil. But first of all, if I were going to use pan pastel, at the moment I don't have anything that color. Does that mean I'm not going to paint that color? No, I'm going to figure out how to mix it. And so I have here just a piece of regular printer paper. And my tools are one of the little applicators here, which this one's quite dirty, so I need to change it out. Then I'm going to mix a little color, and I'm probably going to start with this magenta here. At one point, that must have fallen to the ground or something. I've never had one that powdery, so it's going to be kind of messy. And of course, any magenta is going to be highly pigmented and stain. So we don't need much. I'm just going to kind of tap at it and get a little bit of that pigment on my paper. Now, if this color doesn't turn out to mix well with this magenta, and I'm going to pick up blue with the other side of my little applicator tool, if I can't mix that color, I could just use red and blue. But I think that's pretty darn close, except that it's way dark. So I'm going to put a little more powder of pigment in this pile so that when I do get it mixed, I don't have to keep remixing. That's always a struggle. If you get a color right, you're not going to necessarily get it right again, or at least not in my case. And so I want to make sure I have enough to begin with. Now, bring this over here. I think we're pretty darn close. Maybe it could be a little bluer. And since I have more of that pigment on my little palette knife thing here, it's going to kind of naturally go that way. But now I want to mix some white in to see if I'm really there. Let's just see over here. Oh yeah, now see there? I can still paint this, even though I don't have that color. Now, what if I were to have a whole list of colors? Say I'm in a class, and I have all these colors that are in a brand I don't own. Well, most of the time, you can match with something else. So, for instance, if I needed to have that color again in unison, and I have most of the unison colors, I could probably hit it. But if you were to ask me to have that in another brand, like, Great Earth, or this one here is Mount Vision, I don't think I'm going to have it. I have some things that are kind of close. Actually, in this case, I do kind of have it. But you get the point here. I can always pick up another brand, NuPastel or Rembrandt, or somebody else is going to be close. So that is one of the tricks. And then when you get to an area like this, and really that color there's a variety of colors in there, so nothing's spot on. That was close. And the best way to know how close is to test it on your paper. Now my fingers are quite dirty, so I'm making a mess on my paper here, but when you put it on the paper, it's toned, and so it's going to change the color yet again. So you may want to have your print handy, and then you can check to see, is the value dark enough? That would be the next problem. And if you just add less white, probably is. There's areas in there that are a little bit more of the violet, not quite so blue. Of course, now I've mixed it way too violet, but you get what I mean. I can shift and change things and keep testing till I hit the mark. Besides matching the color, the warmth of that color. So we just went there with this scenario. The red made it a warmer tone, the red violet. The blue made it a cooler tone. In this part on his chest, those are some pretty warm grays, but up in here it's very cool. And so if you don't necessarily see that right off, the difference between a warm and a cool shade, it just takes some practice, just questioning yourself. And sometimes even it's a helpful addition on these. They'll say warm or cool. The gray is this says gray 4, but sometimes it'll actually say cool gray or warm gray, and that'll help you. And over time, you'll just begin to see it. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and start this painting by laying in some background in pan pastel because it's so soft. I may decide I want to put some soft pastel in there too, but I believe I'm going to be doing that little bird in pencil.